So it's time to talk about the game against Burnley on Saturday. It's going to be an early kickoff. Kickoff is going to be at 12:45 UK time. And I would just like to say that I don't know how this game is going to go. Now, based on current form, you have to say that Arsenal should be favourites to win this. But this is a big but. It's Arsenal. And I don't like to start off the videos with a lot of negativity, but as my favorite YouTuber always says,
Burnley, it's always bloody Burnley.
and we have to make sure that we go on and we do a job on Burnley on Saturday. We have to. We have to pick up these easy points. Because I'll say this right now. There is no point in Arsenal beating Leicester City 3-1 and then going and losing to Burnley. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. But you know what? I'll give the players a benefit of the doubt. We have the talent. We've got the squad to be able to do it. Yeah, I think Rob Holding is still out as from the press conference. He might play against Burnley, but you would have to figure that he won't, just due to the amount of centre backs that we have available against Burnley. But you have to say that we have to put in a performance against Burnley. Let's get the easy wins under our belt. That's the most important thing within the game. But before I go into kind of predictions and lineups, I just had to say that Mikel Arteta did his press conference a few hours ago, and I had now listened to it, and there was a few things that I wanted to kind of bring up and talk about that I thought was pretty interesting on some of the topics that he talked about. Now, he talked about several different topics. One was group togetherness. Obviously, he talked about Burnley. Smith Rowe seems that he's got a bit of a muscle injury. I don't think he'll play against Burnley. He probably just needs a rest. But he's having another scan today, from what I understand. But I don't think that Mikel Arteta should risk it, to be really, really honest. Smith Rowe's been fantastic. He's a bit injury prone, and we don't want to push him too hard. The same thing kind of goes with Saka. We don't want to push them too hard as well. Then he talks about top four, and even though he didn't come out outrightly say, yeah, Arsenal could still finish in the top four, the general consensus was that we just need to take one game at a time. Then he talked briefly about the summer transfer window, and obviously the rumours on Lacazette being transferred away. He gave a very political answer about it. Same thing when they asked him about Man City's form and the link to Barcelona job that I talked about in my last video a couple of days ago. So do check that out as well. I've got a link in the description. And his thoughts on that. And I mean, again, it was another political answer. He understands Barcelona are a big club. Every time when there's a presidential elections, plenty managers get linked, and obviously with his link to Barcelona, obviously starting the Barcelona academy, he figured that was going to be the case. So that was understandable. But for me, the two things that I had to talk about was his comments on Eddie Nketiah. Now, when the question was asked, before he even could allow the journalist to go and finish the sentence, he jumped right in regards to Eddie Nketiah. When it was rumoured that all these rumours have been happening for weeks and for at least a couple of months now about Eddie Nketiah leaving Arsenal, he jumped up and said, you know what, Eddie Nketiah, it's a shame, there are lots of other players coming up on form, and it just means that he hasn't had the game time that's needed. He even said himself, Eddie needs to play. Eddie needs to play. And it's just unfortunate that things haven't quite been it is, but it seems that Mikel Arteta is still a fan of Eddie Nketiah. Still a fan of Eddie Nketiah, and I do like that. I like the fact that Eddie, it hasn't been thrown away, and I know Arsenal fans listening to this are probably thinking, well, Neomis, what about Balogun and all these other players and Mola and Martinelli? But listen, I don't believe in throwing away youngsters. If Eddie Nketiah wants to leave permanently from Arsenal, so be it. But Eddie Nketiah is not stopping anyone else's progression. Eddie Nketiah is just in a line. and he should get some games. He does need to play. I've said this for weeks now, which is probably the reason why he should have gone out on loan, but he hasn't. But it's meant that he's not getting the game time. Hopefully, Mikel Arteta could find a way to start to reintroduce him to the squad, give him the game time that is needed. But I really like the fact that Mikel Arteta brought that up and didn't try to shy away from the question. And his reaction towards it, for me, was paramount on that, because you could tell he wanted to nip it in the bud. Really wanted to nip it in the bud. And another thing that he brought up in the press conference, something that I've been talking about for weeks, whether it being on my channel or 101 Arsenal or on Twitter, is the whole aspect on a lot of our loan players. Journalists brought up talking about Saliba and his good performance and Mavropanos and his good performance. And again, before he even had a chance to finish the question, he had to jump in and said, listen, I'm in talks with the loan manager. I think his name is... I didn't get his last name quite just because of Mikel Arteta's accent. I think his name is Ben Whitehead. I think is his last name. But he's the loan manager at Arsenal. They're constantly having meetings with the players there that are out on loan, with the good work that they're doing out on loan as well. And you know what? Like, you got to say, like, Mavropanos, he deserves a chance. He's been doing very, very well. And for me, I'm probably due to put out a loan video on Mavropanos, just on how well he's been doing. And he deserves to get a chance at Arsenal. I mean, he's been out on loan now for 2 seasons, and he has progressed massively. You know, and this is why that someone like David Luiz, even though he is a very good player, and I understand his leadership qualities, we should not give him a new deal. It just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. But it sounds to me like there's probably going to be a place for Saliba, and there's probably going to be a place for Mavropanos at Arsenal probably next season, because, I mean, if you get in constant communication with the loan manager, Ben, just because I don't know his last name, Ben's the loan manager, they're in talks with him, you could believe that Mikel Arteta has to be integrating these guys into the squad next season as well. Same thing that goes for Eddie Nketiah. But in terms of the Burnley game, you have to say that we got to win. And in terms of starting 11, to be really honest, it is pretty much simple. How I would do this is the same team that started against Leicester. I'd continue with that team, to be really honest. I'd continue with that. I'd go with Lacazette. I'll go with Pepe. I'll go with Willian starting this game with, instead of Smith Rowe, Odegaard at the 10, because I think he still needs to continue games. I don't know whether he is Premier League ready yet, but so far I think he's had an okay-ish performance. Not excellent, but not like really bad or anything like that. I just think it's meh performance so far. So I like to see him get some assists, get some goals, so it's good for him to start. In midfield, my guess is that it will probably be Granit Xhaka and El Nene again, or maybe Ceballos and El Nene, or some type of combination of that. Would love to see Callum Chambers get an opportunity, nudge nudge, wink wink, Mikel Arteta, but that probably isn't going to be the case. And then we'll stick with Cedric Soares at right back, David Luiz at centre back, with either Pablo Mari or Gabriel, depending on how they're feeling. And then, you know what, stick with Kieran Tierney at left back. Or, you know, if you want, if Tierney needs some rest, because if he's not quite 100% fit, then put Cedric Soares back out there on the left and put Bellerin on the right with Bernd Leno in goal. I think our starting line is pretty self-explanatory. We've got the game, European game next week. Then we've got Spurs, and then we got another European game after against Olympiacos. So we do need to make sure that everybody is healthy, and having this rotated side, I think, is perfect for that. This is why getting the 3 points is so critical, so critical. I do not want to be like Mark Goldbridge, going completely off on everyone after the game.
I can't believe it! I can't believe it! I cannot believe this game! I can't believe this game!
I don't want to feel like that. Did you hear that? I do not want to feel like it's always Burnley. I don't want to be. We have to go out there and perform. Consistency is so, so important. And I do believe that the boys can do it. And you know what? Even though Burnley are a stubborn side, we can get at them. Pepe can cause some problems all day. Willian, I think Willian has, like, he's risen again. I mean, Willian is like Jesus. He is risen. He is rised. Like, he's ready to go. Willian, I think, could cause problems to Burnley. And this is the appropriate game for that. Predictions. I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory. If Spurs could go out and slap them, I think we can go do some damage to them. But our side will be a rotated side, so I don't expect complete and utter domination. But I do expect a comfortable victory. And if we don't win it, I'm going to be absolutely just annoyed and pissed off. But positive thinking's a positive mindset. That's what we want. Let's go out there and just put in a professional performance. And I know the Arsenal will win for that next Premier League game. But what are your thoughts on that against the game against Burnley? Would love to hear what you guys have to say. Do leave your comments below on what do you think about the starting lineup, who should play, who shouldn't. Also, what do you think about the press conference? For me, definitely check it out on the Arsenal YouTube page. As well as what do you think about his comments on Eddie Nketiah, Saliba and Mavropanos? It seems like they do have a future at Arsenal, so I'm happy about that as well. So leave your comments below. Do check out some of my other Arsenal content. As again before I said, there's a link in the description as well as in the end screen, which you can see here now.